I'm thirsty. Where did I put that? Sometimes it's the simple things. Hey self, so I want to remember a concept known as Parkinson's Law. It's kind of like Murphy's Law, where you know how Murphy's Law isn't exactly real, but it has a lesson. Murphy's Law says that anything that can go wrong will go wrong, so you learn to be protective. Hi car. Anyway, so in the Parkinson's Law, the concept is that if you had like a 10-minute project and you were given half an hour to do it, it's gonna take half an hour to do. Something about no matter how much time you give yourself, you're gonna take the whole time, even if it's something that's supposed to be quick. What's interesting about this too is that there's actually kind of like a human lesson behind it, where there was an experiment done in Microsoft Japan where they had a 5-day work week become a 4-day work week, and they had a 40% increase in productivity. They cut the time down by 20%, and then they gained 40%. That's like you working 4 days and getting 7 days of work done. That was what happened to Microsoft Japan. And so this is like the Parkinson's effect plus more, because they gained productivity. When asked like what did they do to make this work, Microsoft Japan talked about how they took hour meetings and turned them into half an hours, how they only allowed 5 people maximum in each meeting, how they encouraged people to use chat rather than doing emails to talk to each other. And this is kind of awesome. It actually caused an increase in productivity. Other things, like last video we talked about the optimizing happiness and how a happy worker is able to get more work done than a not happy worker, and even more efficient as well as accurate while doing it. Efficient, obviously, accuracy bigger there. And that bit is like, well, they were happier because they had an extra day off. But then there's also this stuff that I've learned about from Monolith, the game company I work with. They showed me an article from Gama Sutra talking about crunch. I'll link both articles in below. And in that article, they talked about how people working longer hours doesn't create more efficiency. Less hours actually creates more efficiency, because it's kind of like human beings are all sprinting. And you know, when you sprint, you don't run as far. You run fast for a short period of time, but you don't run as far as when you jog slowly. And doing more hours of work is kind of like sprinting, while doing less hours of work is kind of like jogging more slowly. In fact, it turned out that it was most efficient to look at a day as if it was about 80% effectiveness. So if you have 8 hours, that's about 6.5 hours. And then on top of that, that hour and a half of time is actually just human existence time. That's talking, going to the bathroom, all that. While other human pieces of your life in that 6.5 hour chunk is working for about an hour, then taking about a 20-minute break. And you do that about 4 times, it's about 4 hours of work and about an 80-minute piece of break mixed in all there. And then you have an hour of lunch, and that's your day. And that turned out to be the most efficient way to work. So we only have about 4 hours of time in a day to work. And then this is the part that I haven't seen any science about, but I thought was interesting. 80% is cutting 5 days to 4 days. Well, it was 80% again, 8 hours to 6.5. So I'm curious if maybe the whole trick is we're just working about 20% harder than we should be. And if we all drop 20%, we might actually get a huge 40% boost on top of what we were doing. So that's pretty cool. Lesson for me to remember in this is to make sure that I don't work. I'm currently an unemployee right now, and so I'm able to set my own hours, and so I want to make sure that I limit how much I do. I don't want to give myself a ton of time to get something done, because then it just will take that whole time. I should experiment by limiting the total time that I have to solve something. Like today, this was taking longer than I wanted to do, so I just went, you know what, if I don't film this by 12 o'clock today, I'm just not gonna do the video anymore. So I sat down, stopped practicing, and then here's the video. See ya.